Hello and welcome along to part 4 in my series where I talk about Action Comics, the only UK kids comic that ever got banned in the 70s. Now, in my previous 3 episodes I talked about my road leading up to buying my first Action. I also talked about the higher grade pre-ban comics, and then the lower grade pre-ban comics right up until the point where it got banned. In this episode I'm going to take you into what we call the post-ban, which means after, when it got banned, when it came back in its much diluted form, which we'll get into in a minute. But first, so this was the last one that ever came through before it got banned, and this Action was getting to the point where it was promising loads of stuff. You had Kids Rule OK, where there was so much social violence in it, which was against sort of the grown-ups, and you had lots of symbolism. You had sort of mild swearing in it. You had utter carnage, which was hook jaw, and you had a few other strips that were getting really sort of like near the knuckle, especially for a kids comic, and this was the last one before it got banned. But there was another one that was meant to come out, and that was Action number 37. Now, Action number 37 here is, I think a few got printed, not many, and it's very rare that you ever see one out in the wild, except this one. Now, I remember this one being sold, and actually I did have a bid on it on eBay. My bid was £50. Now, my £50 bid, which I knew wouldn't buy the comic at all, but I thought at least I've bid on it. At least I can say I was part of that history. And the thing with this one was that with it being so rare, it actually went for £2,555 on the 1st of the 6th, 2015. And this was the one that was, they printed it off, it was ready to go, and it must have got banned in that week where it was going to air, and it got withdrawn. So I don't think anything, or maybe just a few, got out into the wild. Maybe, I don't know if they even come from the suppliers. I don't know how these got out. I think there's been about 5 seen in this in this form that you can actually buy. But there's another one on the Action Summer Special 2020, believe it or not. You can buy a smaller version of this comic. Well, it's one of these comics comes free with it. Now, I've never seen it, but I've heard that it's not exactly the full comic, and you just get bits and snippets of it, which is fair enough. At least it's better than nothing. I don't personally own one. I would like to see one, but I don't know if I'd like to own one that was a small facsimile of what could have been. I would prefer somebody, if they could, to go and get, or maybe even try to recreate that comic. And these days it wouldn't matter anything. It's not something that would cause outrage, but back in the day, in the 70s, it was probably leading towards all kinds of mayhem, although the adults thought. So anyway, my personal when I remember this episode, there was that I had a subscription to my local newspaper shop, and I would go and pick my comic up every week. It was kept behind on the desk for us, or the counter, and I would pick it up, and then it wasn't there anymore. I don't think anybody knew that it was banned. Personally, I didn't know it was banned. If anybody knows, drop a comment down in the description, just to see if you have any inkling that this comic was banned at this point. I just knew it just disappeared. Now, weeks go by, and you don't forget about it, but you do quite probably. I would end every week saying, "There's Action coming this week," and the woman would say, "No, it hasn't." But then you get, and it was reserved for me, so it was kept behind for me. We're back, we're sensational, we're heavily cut Action. Now this is number Action 38, and this came out on the 4th of December 1976. But my initial joy for seeing this back on the shelves was met with, well, let's say it wasn't joy when I opened the pages to find out what was in it. Now, I thought that this was just going to carry on straight away from the other one. I thought there might have been a dispute with the printers or whatever. I didn't know, because there were a lot of disputes in the 70s with electrical cuts and all that type of thing. So I thought that this is my we're going to get back in the Action. I'm going to see what these stories were in here and how they progressed, and I was looking forward to seeing how Hook Joe, the episode in there, started, but finished or continued, but I was very much mistaken. So when I went into this comic, and I was greeted by, the first thing I was greeted by was that the usual spot for Hook Joe in the centre pages was taken over by what I consider to be my least favourite comic strip, Look Out for Lefty. Now, there's a description, there's a thing here from Steve McManus, the Action Man, and he says, "Hi there, it's great to be with you again. Don't think we've been idle during our short break, either cause we've been working flat out producing 2 new picture stories for you, Roaring Wheels and Double Dynamite. I think they're both fantastic, but maybe I'm biased. Anyway, I'd like to hear your opinion, so if you get a moment, why don't you drop me a line? I'll see you all next Saturday." Now, I don't know how I read this one. I probably went straight to the middle pages and was a bit shocked, but when I flicked through these pages, you could instantly see and you had Roaring Wheels. There was a new comic strip. Obviously you went looking for Kids Rule OK, and not the Probationer, but the Probationer was in there, but the Probationer was gone, Kids Rule OK was gone, and also you had the additions of that. Death Game 99 was changed to Spinball, so that was a very much watered down title, which it was okay, but it wasn't anywhere near the... Oh God, there's a cat. Wow, I nearly died. It was nowhere near what it used to be, but funny enough, Spinball, the strip was probably the best thing in the post-ban. At least it was quite... it wasn't anywhere near what it was with Violence, but it was quite interesting. It had some quite good storylines in it. So you went flicking through to Hook Joe, and Hook Joe was relegated to black and white. Now, in all the ones I'm going to show you today, Hook Joe was in black and white, which was a travesty in my eyes. I couldn't believe that, but I thought, well, that's okay, let's see what gore there is. And to be honest, the gore was literally nothing. You had shots like that, which you would normally see in the Action comics, people getting ripped to bits, but of course that didn't happen. And it says, next week a new perilous adventure for Hook Joe. So they sort of finished off that strip there. They took out all the gore, because you can see that in the pages of Action, a Band, the Martin Barker book, you can see all the bits that they cut out of there, but it was gone. And also you had another strip called Double Dynamite, which was brought in, which, to be honest, I can't really remember about it. It was called like a take on Blackjack, I would imagine, but I'm not really too familiar with what that story was about. So yes, so great cover, but unfortunately very disappointing in the content. Now, moving on to Action number 39, the 11th of December 1976. This, funny enough, as a lot of you will know, do you see this? What they did was that they used that good Action art there for Action number 39, which was the 11th of December 1976. It's the only one there that I can see that's got asterisks on it, and I was looking through the comic to see if there's anything that would sort of give you any indication of what that is, but what I could see, I couldn't find anything about it, unfortunately. Yeah. So sorry, I had to stop that there. I thought that the image was round the wrong way, but it wasn't. It looks like that on mine, but it doesn't look like that on yours, which I would hate this to all be backwards, forwards. So anyway, yes, getting back to this. So this is Action number 39. I can't see any indication of why that was. And also, I think that the Hook Joe was a new story, and to be honest, the artwork was pretty good in the new Action. I thought that the artwork in the previous story was a little bit poor, but the whole point of a hook jaw was really to see out and out gore, but as you can see that there is none, there's no blood, there's a thing there which isn't really anything. If you can imagine somebody hook jaw slicing open another shark isn't really something that's going to set the blood of a young 7-year-old boiling. And yes, so all in all, another watered down entry, although it is worth looking at this one because it has got the band cover, and sometimes you could see this one on eBay and you could think maybe is that the one of the is that the real cover, sorry, the real 37. So yes, so moving on to the 18th of December 1976 is number 40. So what I was doing in this, I was looking through them a bit and I was trying to see if there's any talk about, maybe from the letters from kids saying what happened here, what's happened to the state of your comic, is it, have you cut it, what's the problem with the gore in it. But maybe a lot of kids sent that them letters in, but there was none made it into the editorial side of it, where you would look in the comments and there was nothing to do with the whole ban at all. There wasn't really anything. I would imagine all that would have been censored out because it might have been a bit of a controversial subject to talk about in a comic that was sort of watered down and did know that it wasn't what it was. They might be thinking, we don't want to sort of encourage that. If you get, like these days, if it was online, there would have been a complete stream of abuse from people, from trolls, going on there, how they do online. So you can imagine that back in the day, that if they could have done that, what would have happened. But yes, so no mention in any of these with the ban and what kids thought of it or anything. And here you go again, just another watered down version of Action, and it's got Look Out for Lefty in the centre pages, as he does for quite a bit, and also like I say, it's just one of my lesser favourite characters, and also lesser favourite covers. Then you move on to the 25th of December 1976, which is Action number 41. You got a cover there with Double Dynamite, and I do know that probably when I go and look through all of these again, I will check out all of the strips. It might be a good strip, but I think when you were young and deflated and you thought and you were pining for the action of old, you would have sort of skipped past these ones and you just went to look for hopefully some gore, some controversial scenes, but you would unfortunately be not looking at Action for any of them for quite a considerable time, if any time, unfortunately. But I think you maybe thought that these things could like return for whatever reason. I don't know when I found out the fact that it got banned. Maybe it was years later, I don't know, but I do know that I did know about it to a certain extent. Even if I didn't know about it, personally, I knew that there was something wrong with Action as well. So number 42 is moving into 1977. This is the 1st of January 1977. And it's just more of the same, really. Good cover. I do like the cover. I did like, probably like I say, the only saving grace for me at that time was the Spinball stories. I did find them very readable, and I can't even remember reading the rest of the story. I did read the Hookjaw stories, which were not too bad actually, if I'm honest, but it became a comic where I only read 2 sort of strips really, and I've only got knowledge of 2 strips as well. So number 43 is Action. It's from the 8th of January 1977. So these post-ban comics can go for, sometimes it can go for a little bit of money on eBay, and sometimes it go for not that much. You can understand why, because it's like it is a former shade of itself. But in some of these actions, there is quite a few little things which are quite juicy, which I'll get into a little bit later on, which you might want to collect these ones. If you can see these ones, you can get a heads up of things that are in it that might be a collectible thing for people who are like 2000 AD, for example. And also they do have a few things where there is games in it, a few ones where you would lose your center pages, but not in these ones at all. But there's a few ones that you might want to check for, just that, like hidden extras that might make the comic a little bit more valuable, or if you can get them at a knockdown price, you've scored to get this sort of little insert with it. So this isn't one of them, but so yes, so that's action number 43, 8th of Jan 1977. So next is action 44, the 5th of January 1977. And yes, just more of the same. There's not much to talk about, and I've got some things to talk about in some of the actions, but there's not really much to talk about in these. It's just really the same old in the post band, should I say. Unfortunately, all you had to look for or forward to was either a good story in Spinball, Hook Joe being quite good, and also maybe some kind of heads up for other things happening, or a nice cover. That's not too bad cover actually. But none of the covers were really sensationalist like they used to be back in the day. Mind this cover here, which is action number 44 is the 15th of, sorry, action number 44 is, action number 45 is the 22nd of January. Now this one here, I've got to admit, it's one of my favourite covers. It's this artwork that's on here. This fella, whoever this fella was, who was drawing action at the time, was doing some quite good work in the action comic. The Hook Joe comic and comic strip. And this one was one of the ones where you thought maybe inside there is something a bit more. Maybe they're getting a bit more adventurous with their stories, bringing it back to what it was. Sadly not. But there's always hope, and to be honest, this is one of the best post-ban covers for me. So if you were to look at if you were to take Hook Joe and say, right, this is it, this is going to be what it's about. When you look at it, it's okay. It's not a bad strip. It's well drawn, but there's not anything in it that you would ever consider to be anything that would ever warrant the form of excitement what you used to get with Hook Joe. Next up is number 46, which is the 29th of January, and inside, now this I wouldn't say this is a great cover either. Some of the post bands do have poor covers. This one would say is one of my least favorite covers. But inside you've got mention that the Battle comic was celebrating its 100th issue, so that's quite a good little thing to have there. And also in it there is Hook Joe seemed to be, it's never going to get back to its former glory, but it did seem to have some more, are they going to dare to show anything? You can see him attacking quite a few people, and you can see him killing people sort of off camera, as it were. And also there's a bit of an eye gouging, which you don't see. And if you remember the late great Rick Mason, when he gouged out one of Hook Joe's eyes, I don't know if his eye grew back, but somebody else was going for his eye, and they got, and that's quite a good one as well, because Hook Joe beached himself, and somebody was going to shoot him in the head or in the eye. Do sharks have brains there? Who knows? I don't. And it would have that was quite a good little strip. I remember that as well. That was it wasn't a bad episode for Hook Joe. So next is number 47, which is the 5th of February 1977. This is another one of, I would say, of the lesser quality covers. I'm not really too keen on having, for me, Roaring Wheels doesn't seem to be one that should be on the cover. It should be always to do with like the Spinball, Dredger, Hellman and Hook Joe. I think they could draw people in with that. I don't think they need to put things on like that, because really when you would get that one, you would probably look at it and you would probably think, when you were hoping there was something in it, you would know there'd be nothing in it. when you got this cover, unfortunately. But there was something quite interesting inside in Hookjaw, which it was a good picture, man. I'm not. It's well drawn, good picture, and it's somebody threw a dummy into this. They're keeping Hookjaw in a sort of. It seems like he's in a. I think they put him into sort of like an aquarium, and so there's a whole. This whole story is about Hookjaw in this aquarium, and he's this fella in here with the. This was quite a good character as well, and I think he was trying to sort of exploit Hookjaw as well. But that's a good, but that's the type of thing you would have seen in the pre-ban, with somebody getting ripped to shreds in it, in blood all over the place, in colour as well. The next one is the 12th of February, and it's number 48, and this is probably, well, it's about 2 days shy of Action being 1 year old. Now, if you think about it, in the whole year that Action was alive at this point, there's so much happened in the story of Action. It grew to its great heights. It got banned. There is a comic that came out that's highly collectible. There's a pre-ban annual comic, a book which you need to get, because that's the last thing that had the gore in it. Also, there's a summer special as well in 1976. But in this first year, so this one is a pale shadow of its former self. And funny enough, there's no mention in here of Action turning 1 year, which I think was a missed trick as well. They could have had a big thing, but maybe they were kind of a little bit not saying not keen, but they were a little bit disheartened by the whole way that Action was going. Maybe the editors were like thinking of other things. Now, funny enough, speaking of that, here's number 49. It's the 9th of February 1977, and it's got a good cover on here, and it's got a good one to get if you want to get it, and you can get it with all its pages in, which I don't see why any of them would have been ripped out. Maybe they wouldn't have been ripped out, but if you look at this one, it is grade 4, and just remember that at this point, I would imagine that everybody who saw this would have then went across to 2000 AD, because this must have been when 2000 AD was going to start. And there you have the space spinner, which you would have got on your sellotaped to your front of 2000 AD. You would probably rip the cover getting it off, and you would have went in the back garden and threw it over the wall immediately and lost it. And there it goes. It's got what you're going to get in number 2 as well, and it shows you. It shows you all of the strips that could be in there. You've got amazing strips like Flesh, Harlem Heroes, Mach 1, Judge Dredd. I can't remember Invasion. Dan Dare wasn't really my thing, but and then it shows you what you would get in week 2 and week 3. You would get the stickers, which I got the stickers, and they would stick on your arm, pull all the hairs off, and they would immediately be trash. But they were a brilliant thing to have, and I remember saying to one of my friends at my tender age of 7.5 probably, I've got a robot arm, and he just pulled my sleeve up, and as if that was going, it was very bright, I remember, as if that was going to make anyone think that he had a robot arm, but never mind. And I remember having the Red Alert book as well. That was quite good, and I think I had that quite recently as well. I did sell it on eBay because I don't have any of the 2000 ADs, unfortunately, anymore. That's a good one to get if you're a fan of 2000 AD and you want to keep something, you want to get some kind of early, one of the first advertisements for that comic. So the next one is number 50, and it's the 26th of February 1977, and it's funny that there's still no mention of anything like to say, this is Action's number, this is the 50th issue. I think they missed a lot of tricks on this, and maybe like to say, are they just sort of not that bothered because maybe they were going to the 2000 AD realm, and the 2000 AD, to be honest, was quite gory as well. So in here you get some advertisements for 2000 AD, if I can find them. There you go. So they were really sort of promoting 2000 AD at this point, and quite rightly, because it was a great comic. I do remember thinking this is brilliant, and that was my go-to comic after that. Action sort of took a very much of a sidestep when this came out. I would imagine that most people were the same, because now you see you've got Look Out for Lefty in the centre pages again, which to me, I didn't understand that at all. Even if Hookjaw wasn't a gore fest anymore, why couldn't they not keep him in the centre pages? I just don't understand. The next one is number 51, the 5th of March 1966. It's 1977, wow. And quite a good cover, that. I do like that cover. And it's not a bad comic, because in Hookjaw we have some blood, sort of. And I remember seeing this and thinking, could this, I did every week, I thought, is this the way that Hookjaw is going to come back into his, maybe they were testing the boundaries, I don't know. I do know that that's something you haven't seen for a long time. There's a swimmer, there's a girl swimming there, and she gets attacked, and you can see Hookjaw, you know, a sort of very much tamed down version of the fact that Hookjaw would have bit a foot off. And there's also another good a good thing there. It's well, obviously it's in no way it's not going into one, the fella, it's just lifting them out, but it's a great bit of artwork, that. And it's, to be honest, Hookjaw never got to its former glory at all. It never would do, but every week you were hoping you would see some of that lost gore. The next one is number 52, and this is the 12th of March 1977. Now this one here, if you didn't know and you just looked at it, it does have a sort of hint of the original pre-ban comics. For some reason I always found that this was one of the ones that was one of the best covers, because it looked like one of the old covers. And this is the type of thing that you wanted to see on the action cover. Obviously it didn't suffice when you got inside and found it was exactly the same as all the other ones, but still the cover is something that you would like to know that Action had put a little bit of thought into it. And it also had another thing for 2000 AD in it. They must have been promoting it. Maybe 2000 AD came out just in the weeks around this, or maybe not even in this week. They might come out just a little bit after it. And there you go. That's telling you about number 3, I believe, and that's the Red Alert Survival Wallet. So, and also, what does it say? Special monster appearances from the Thing from Hell Planet are down there. So there you go. So that's one of my favourite covers of the post-ban comics. Now the next one and the last one in this episode is number 53, and it's the 19th of March 1977. This one I remember being one of the covers that I thought I could have drawn better than that. I just didn't rate this cover at all. I don't know, that some of them, they've got some great artwork in the inside, but they just didn't sort of progress to the cover, and I didn't understand that at all, which is a bit of a shame, because like I say, that's probably the only thing you had to look forward to. And there is something from 2000 AD in here as well. Hookjaw was sort of becoming, you know, a little bit more adventurous, but there was no real death. You wanted to see people getting eaten, didn't you? I mean, at the end of the day, that was your go-to thing for Hookjaw. You just want to see him mutilate people. 2 seconds, and I'll look through them. It's always where you don't know where it is, isn't it? So yes, so thanks very much for watching the 4th part of this series. Sorry, I'm difficultly trying to find this. I will continue to do the next. I think the post-ban, because there's that many of them, it might take a few. It might take another 2 videos to get through the post-bans. Although, there you are. So that's the 2000 AD. If you're interested in collecting the 2000 AD advertisements, these comics here, which I would say is 49, 50, 51, 52, 53 at this point. I don't know about 54 because I haven't looked into it yet. These are good to get for that, and they might be something that when you got it, you might want to ask the seller if they do have all the pages present, and if you have, you might get yourself, especially these ones don't go for very much. I think the ones with the better covers seem to go, or maybe if you're just waiting for one to get your collection full, you might be prepared to pay a little bit more for these comics. So anyway, yes, so next episode, which will be number 5, I will go through, I will start from 54 and I'll progress that for until the end. Maybe I can't get the full lot. I think there's another 30 to go, so I might have to break it down into two sections, because I don't want to whiz through these ones, but in essence there's not a great deal to talk about in these comics because of all the problems they've had with the censorship. Has sort of not ruined the comic, but it's definitely got it into a different well, everyone would know that the postbands are nowhere near what the original actions were. The stories sometimes were good, the Spinball was good, Hook Joe was okay, but really, did you want to see things about people driving Formula 1 or Formula 3 racing cars? It's not really anything that sets the world alight, does it? So thanks again for watching, and if you like this video, please like and subscribe. I'll be doing plenty more of these, and I've also got a lot of things to talk about: the action annuals, the action summer specials, the books, the Martin Barker's book. I've got quite a lot of episodes to go to. I will also maybe go back to a few things in action when I read through them. Maybe a few things that come out of it, I might need to go and address them in a separate video. But anyway, thanks for watching, and you take care, and I'll see you next time.